Hello, everyone, and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Rome, the largest Grand Prix that MSEM has ever had. Saying that is never going to get old, but this time we had 44 participants, breaking the 40 participant landmark with with people to spare. And out of all of these people, we have our last two players here, Splashcat, who is on a five-color leyline alignment field combo, and Dodger, who's playing red black Unearth. So I'm also joined on the mic here with Canterbury Egg and Pipsqueak. So does one of y'all want to start off by telling us about Splashcat's deck?
Sure. I feel fairly confident in doing so. So Splashcat's deck is ultimately a combo deck that's looking to set up a mana engine using Leyline Alignment Field, or just naturally hit its land drops if it's not under any pressure, and then trying to, as fast as possible, cast either Resign to Madness, milling half of its deck to set up a combo, or Imagination Unleashed to cheat out a expensive creature from hand. Um, we're seeing a quick mull to 6 for both players.
And this
Um,
is not a six you like to see. I guess you can technically, if you hit a second land, you can cycle the
you can't
Conflicts
keep this hand.
Ravager and then hope to.
You can't do that. Like you're on the draw, so like it helps a bit, but this hand needs like several things that have to go right. I really think Splashcat needs to keep that first seven, especially because Dodger is going to rely on Deformed Sanity in this game one. Um,
Yeah. Oh, Dodger's on the play. Just manages to immediately. You probably just deform sanity, grab the unquenched greed, and call it a day.
yeah,
And then Splashcat
but
is just really
Splash.
out of this game.
I wouldn't say that. Oracle's vision and having an extra job means that Splashcat still can assemble things. Dodger doesn't have an Unearth, so the fastest
Oh
that
yeah.
we're realistically going to see a threat assembled is going to be turn three, and that's assuming Dodger sees a land.
Gift of the Phoenix could, or I guess it depends on whether Dodger leads deform or gift, but he definitely could still go turn two gift, draw into an unearth, bin like a performer or like a Bloodjade Prophet, and then feel fine about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I I expect that Deform pitch a 3-drop is where you always want to start here. Against a
Mm-hmm.
combo deck, I don't think you can afford to not.
The one thing I'd say is, do you want to discard Performer of Ambition because it's a faster threat and hope that you draw an Unearth next turn, or do you discard a Bloodjade Prophet because you're assuming you're not going to draw an Unearth?
Dodger has a quick judge question. Yeah, this is basically just Splashcat revealing information voluntarily.
Yeah.
While you decide what
So I
cost you're
guess in the
paying,
in
here's
the
my hand.
meantime, Egg, do you want to tell us about Dodger's deck while we have the time?
Yeah, so Dodger's deck is this really janky Unearth deck that has a lot of value spells that you can cast by discarding cards like Deform Sanity and Distant Thunder, which you can pay either 2 mana or discard a card. And basically, the
Yeah. And new
plan is
format edition
discard,
Fiery Temper, which does a
yeah,
lot
Fire
this.
Um,
Temper.
Yeah, yeah.
a brief note, by the way, Caillou. People say the stream is too quiet, so everything should be turned up volume wise. Is the request?
Okay, the thing is, I can't turn you guys any more volume wise. I've just equalized myself to your volume. So if everyone watching
Okay,
would
we
turn
just
up
need
the
to
volume,
start screaming.
basically, yeah, I've turned you guys as far up as y'all will go. Or
Gotcha. Okay.
I could try one more thing. Let's see. Say something now.
All right. Here's how loud I'll try to sound for the rest of this. We also should probably focus back. Taking the Oracle's vision was a really interesting call on Dodger's part. And then Splashcat not shocking in the flood depths to cast Unquestioned Greed, I think continues that interestingness. Although I guess Splashcat is working low on resources right now, so you don't want to take the card disadvantage of Unquenched Greed. So actually, that makes sense in hindsight.
Yeah. To finish off what Dodger's deck does, basically you put very valuable 3-drops in the graveyard and try to unearth them as quickly as possible. He has succeeded in putting a high impact 3-drop in the graveyard, but has not succeeded in drawing a copy of Unearth. So his hand looks very clumsy right now.
I
Although
mean,
this Performer
you
of
do, yeah,
Ambition
you
can
do
just kind of
get
get
to go
there.
turn three Performer of Ambition and then threaten to just flip it next turn,
Yeah.
Ah,
which,
jeez.
oh
So
my god,
Splashcat now has. I mean, you just discard the Conflux Ravagers, but drawing that Imagination Unleashed and the Turi without any cantrip egg is just like the hottest top decks I can imagine.
Yeah, for sure.
You're just hoping that Dodger doesn't get a threat online fast enough that you can manage to assemble your 4 lands plus Imagination Unleashed. And if Splashcat top decks a Leyline alignment field here, Dodger just dies. The game is over. It looks like, I think it's probably unlikely that that'll happen, in which case Splashcat needs to keep a lot of resources together, and Performer of Ambition is great into that, since Performer of Ambition naturally eats away at resources.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't really give like because Splashcat needs every single one of the cards in their hand. And
Yeah.
and like you can't just be like, well, I'll keep the land in hand. Like, no, that just doesn't work. Like,
Yeah.
I think you probably. Okay, yeah,
Okay.
okay, Pitwilt solves
If
a lot of.
Splashcat's gonna draw like this, I would also mull to 5 against this deck.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, agreed.
Magic
Roll
is a
five
game
against
of
decks with
variance.
5 decks or cards on top of the deck.
Okay, Schengen Renegade is kind of not the threat you want to see here. It's okay, but like again, like you would much prefer like a Bloodjade Prophet or again like a Performer, which actually generate you
Unearth.
value. Yeah, Unearth to get back stuff. Yeah. So now if Splashcat top decks a 4th land and just wins here.
As
God,
you do.
God damn it, dude. Okay, and you know what? A Dodger can't even be mad about this because he designed Turi. So.
Yeah, that's the rule.
Yeah,
You know,
but what kind of maniac designed Imagination Unleashed? That's the real question.
yeah, so true. And also the combo piece of Marissa, like, what? What are we thinking about?
So from there, Turi can -6 to get Marissa and one of the heretics, and then Marissa can target the Turi, and then Turi can -6 to get another Marissa, which can target the Turi, and then you sacrifice a Marissa to the legend rule, and then Turi can get a Marissa, which can get a Marissa, which can get a Marissa, which can get a Marissa, and you combo off. So
Yeah.
the Turi being on the battlefield just wins the game.
Yeah,
Which
so
is why
basically,
Dodger concedes on the spot.
and the specifics of that is Corvid Heretic is a card which says whenever a card leaves or one or more cards leave your graveyard, you gain 1 life. Each opponent loses 1 life. And so because of Legend Rule, you just looped. And Marissa is a card which on ETB you can return a permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you basically use Turi's -X to just like set up the combo straight out of your library, and then just use Legend Rule to loop the Marissas.
So my question is going to be, how do you guys think we're going to see sideboards? Dodger brings in Ruinous Proselyte and just tries to lock out Splashcat, but otherwise, I'm not sure. Like, do you think we'll see a Cold Graves coming in? Do you think we'll see Stolen Secrets? The burn spells are pretty bad in this matchup, so
I feel like I feel like you have to bring it. Like Coldgrave and Stolen Secrets are kind of just gas here, in my opinion.
So you have those 10 cards spring in, and I assume you're cutting the Oil Drillers. Maybe you cut the burn spells as well. Just go down 10 cards.
I kind of.
Cards.
Is it weird that I kind of like Oil Driller here? It's like, I don't know. I like the ability to just rebuy discard spells and be like, no, you're never ever assembling anything ever. Maybe that's just me.
I'm surprised to see Oil Driller and Distant Thunder and Coldgrave all in this hand. We'll have to ask Dodger about his sideboard plan.
Oh, they've already started, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Okay, then let's quickly talk about Splashcat sideboarding. I think Seal the Tomb, maybe.
I could see Seal. I could see Singularity's Grasp feels kind of necessary. You just need to keep the board under control. Actually,
I mean,
Cosmic War and Rot seem way better.
Yeah, Cosmic Rot.
Maybe we also see some stand unassailable.
Yeah.
It looks like we did see boarding in of at least the Cosmic War based on Splashcat's opening hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Based on what we're looking at from Dodger's hand, I would guess that. Oh, jeez. I guess that the Stolen Secrets might not have come in because you can lose from so many different angles. And no, Stolen Secrets on sorcery just. Well, no, imaginations.
And we're seeing, and you mentioned last game that Deformed Sanity is like the Windmill Slam turn 1. The reason they're not doing that is because Ambitious Necro, with its sabotage ability, can actually get back what you discarded with the Deformed Sanity, if I understand right, because it's discarding as a cost. So next turn, Dodger can, for 1 mana, get back Oil Driller, and then just kind of.
And then Oil Driller will pick back up the Deformed Sanity. And then the next turn, Dodger can unearth the Oil Driller again after casting Deformed Sanity.
Yeah, which is why, like, this deck can do, despite having a huge density of 3 drops in order to support Hugo of the Shadow Staff, it can do a lot on just one land.
Which notably Dodger has not put into his hand in either of these games.
Yeah. I don't think Hugo is that good in this matchup, just because he doesn't attack on the axis you want in this specific matchup. So having a deck built around Hugo is more of a drawback in this matchup than it is an upside.
Yeah, he's mostly just there for flood prevention in this matchup.
Oh yeah, no, you can't have Improvement. I was about to say, actually, can you have Hugo and Coldgrave in the same deck? And the answer is yes. It's kind of interesting that we see the Conflicts Ravager take it in there. Dodger not hitting a second land is a little bit awkward. It's going to limit how many actions he can take this turn. But he's still doing something pretty powerful and sweet. Oh, actually, the Oil Driller can't grab the Deformed Sanity because it's not in the graveyard.
Oh, but it effectively will get back a land, so Dodger will be able to hit a second land here.
Yeah.
So what do you think Dodger's going to deform here? Like,
I think I just want to take Unquenched Greed here and leave my opponent floundering.
That feels fair.
That might be too greedy, though.
No, I would take the Unquenched Greed here. If you need to next turn, you can unearth the Oil Driller to get back the Deformed Sanity and cast it, discarding like Coldgrave or something to get the Cosmic War or whatever Splashcat draws. But the Unquenched Greed's the only thing giving him gas right now, and he doesn't even have the land to cast Cosmic War.
Yeah. You also get to start using Coldgrave next turn, so you can immediately snipe out the Conflicts Ravager, which makes your opponent drawing a Leyland Alignment Field substantially less terrifying.
Dodger
take the greed.
Yeah, and it's gonna do a cool 5
on this Mirror Gate, which means that you can crack this shrine before it gets countered.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit awkward because you would want to hold the shrine if you could, because if you crack the shrine now, the Oil Driller no longer is a lock to recur Deformed Sanity, assuming you want to cast Unearth on it. But I guess you can also still recur it.
Oh, Dodger is just just passing with the Wayfire Shrine up.
Playing right into the Mirror Gate.
Well, Salvage is 2 cards, right? So it'll be a lock to pick it up. Oh no, the Unearth would be in the graveyard. Never mind.
Yeah. But oh no, now it's just a black land. Like, yeah, this locks Dodger out of casting Distant Thunder, but it doesn't super matter in the grand scheme of things.
I mean, I think that was just the best play the Splashcat could make there. They don't really have much other option.
Yeah.
Okay, and never punished.
This is
I was gonna say, this is why we watch Dodger, right?
He even says it in chat. Dodger says never punished.
What a troll. Dodger really pulled the my turn. I mean, look. I know you got all the luck last time, but I'm gonna have to stop you right there. Dodger's thinking probably between Distant Thunder and Unearth, but I think you just Unearth here. You don't really have anything that you super like Distant Thundering or like discarding here.
I mean, yeah, I agree with that. It's also Oil Driller being able to return either Unearth or your discard spell feels pretty nice. Like, especially because you can then just rebuy Unearth, and then you just like have this plan of chunking your opponent for the next couple of turns. You know what your opponent is working with. You're not worried about this Cosmic War, and unless your opponent drew a Imagination Unleashed last turn and draws, like, you know, a Leyland Alignment Field this next turn, there's no real punish for going for that.
Okay, so hit in for another 5.
If you're talking about, so I think the other question we'll see is whether Dodger is going to preemptively pop Coldgrave here, because if you don't pop Coldgrave and your opponent has the Leyland Alignment Field, I guess there's not enough colors in the graveyard.
It would be -1 mana even, right, to activate LAF. Yeah, so not
the worst Unknown Shores you've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, look at it. It's so harmless.
Yeah.
It would never set up 5 mana turn 3 consistently.
I mean, maybe a little bit if this Coldgrave hadn't come down. Just a little.
as a treat.
I mean, Dodger's untapping into lethal, so that's nice.
Uh,
Yeah, that's true.
am I missing something? I feel like I'm missing
Distant Thunder.
Distant Thunder. Oh yeah, and then
Within
yeah,
your range.
yeah, that's 5. That's okay. Yeah, that's 8 damage in total.
Yeah, so Dodger shouldn't cast anything here. Like, I assume Dodger was quickly checking decks, but Splashcat doesn't run 1 mana interaction that you need to be scared of here. Like, there could be a neutralize or invalidate, but I think right here you just cast Distant Thunder, pitch the Cold Grave on end step, recur the Oil Driller on your end step, untap, just so if anything goes wrong, you have lethal. But, like, it really doesn't matter either way.
Yeah, it's irrelevant at this point.
Mm-hmm.
We have prided ourselves on not including any 0 mana interactions, so Splashcat being tapped out means Dodger just has lethal and doesn't have to worry.
Oh no, we're gonna have to. Oh no, we're not gonna have to do anything. Never mind. It does produce red.
Yeah.
I just.
Caillou just like had war flashbacks of having to call judges.
God, yeah. Not like last GP. No way. But yeah, okay. Unlike last GP, these games are clipping by extremely quickly. It's now 1-1. Is it best of 5 or best of 3 here? Still best of 3?
Best of 3.
Okay, so we're on the final game of this GP. And I think we've seen, like, Splash's deck, I think, like you said, I think Splash needs to just mull more aggressively in some points. Because I think that, like...
I don't know.
I don't know.
Splash needs to draw better.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of...
Yeah, fair.
It's just, you don't want to mulligan aggressively versus the deck that has Deformed Sanity, right? Like, if you mulligan to the perfect 5 and your opponent just looks at your hand and says, nope, you don't get that, like, you scoop.
That's fair, but I also feel like sometimes you're like... It's like the playing to win versus playing not to lose. Because I feel like sometimes you can keep like... It's an okay... Like, it's an okay 6, it's an okay 7, but I don't think that, like, okay cuts it, because even if you have, like, an okay reasonable hand, I think Deformed Sanity can still slice through that, like, butter. And I think you'd prefer to go for, like, the aggressive, like, just kill you dead line and force them to have it.
I think it probably depends slightly on how much Dodger is mulliganing. Because if Dodger also seems to be mulliganing aggressively, it makes less sense to mulligan aggressively on your end.
Mm-hmm. This
like,
is
this
a bad... This is a bad...
Yeah, this hand's horrid.
I don't think I've ever seen Dodger not have Deformed Sandy in any of his opening hands this GP.
So he did bring in Stolen Secrets, so it'd be interesting to know what he decided to take out. I'm sure Schengen Renegade came out because it's just the weakest of the creatures, but there's a lot of stuff to bring in and not that many slots in the deck.
Okay, well, this is... Wait. This is a turn 4 Turi, unfortunately, and Deformed Sanity can grab the Turi, but then you still have access to Resign to Madness and bring it back if your opponent doesn't kill you by turn 5. Oh, okay. This makes sense to bring in Hugo now, because...
your hand is all...
It's just interaction, and then that gives you... Yeah.
And it also grants Splashcat's end of putting down a land, you're more likely to draw lands than you are to draw any of these other specific pieces. And the second, Deformed...
I mean...
So I think we're going to see turn 1 Deformed Sandy into turn 2 Stolen Secrets, and maybe another Deformed Sandy, and this is why you can't afford to mulligan against this deck. Like,
I feel like you can just, like... The play is Deformed Sanity, discard Deformed Sanity, right? Am I crazy?
Oh, no, I disagree. I think you want to discard a land here.
You can't... You know what? You can't... I mean, you can't discard a land because it says discard a non-land card. Y'all.
Oh, I missed that about that card. Why the fuck does it have that text? I mean, I guess it's balanced, but okay.
Yeah. I have commentated on multiple matches now with Deformed Sanity cast, and every time I miss it and then I read the card, I'm just like, I should remember that for the next time. And I just don't. At least Dodger knows how his own cards work.
Oh, Grabs him. Okay, I guess.
Imagination Unleashed makes sense given that Dodger has more piece of interaction. Otherwise, I would say like you want to take the Resign to Madness. I mean, Splashcat's deck plays fewer copies of. Actually, no, it's the same number of copies for Turi and for Imagination Unleashed. So take Imagination Unleashed makes sense, especially because it keeps your opponent off of Marissa stuff. Unquaged Greed, kind of terrifying here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but Dodger does have the Cold Grave, so. Oh,
okay.
never mind. Not terrifying at all.
I mean, yeah, I guess, dude, you've been at LA, you just been what you drew. Am I crazy for that?
Yeah, I agree.
Nah,
No.
you bin Turi and resign. That way, your opponent's next discard spell doesn't hit. It's
Biggest
genius.
brain, biggest brain.
Keeping the second leyline
What?
alignment field is an interesting hedge. I guess it makes you better against makes you better if you top deck a threat.
I guess it's
Yeah,
also,
and better against the Ruinous Proselyte.
yeah, that's coming down.
Yeah, I don't think, given that Dodger knows that there's a Resign to Madness in hand and a Leyline Alignment field in hand, I'm pretty sure Dodger just. Oh, well, there's no white in Graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
So this Leyline Alignment field's only 4 mana, so Resign to Madness actually can't be cast.
Yeah, but I think,
So Dodger could take another turn to set up.
yeah, in which case I think Dodger just plays. You can like play Hugo, Coldgrave, exile the Turi, and take three
Yeah.
and I guess that only takes one color out, but it's still like one less Turi in the world is quite good.
It makes
It-
Marissa less terrifying.
Yeah, it makes top deck Marissa less of a problem. And yep, we are going to see Hugo come down and Coldgrave eating Turi, I presume. Yep. I'm glad to see that Dodger concurs with the commentators reading chat. Soulgate, not what you want to see here. I guess you can scry, technically.
Low-key hate Soulgate over Coldgrave in that list when you have Leyline Alignment Field.
Yeah, I agree.
That doesn't make much sense to me at all.
Soulgate is great for the kind of grindier long games, and in decks that don't want to abuse the graveyard, because the scrying is real text, but the nuclear option is really bad in this list.
Yeah.
I do wonder if you cast Soulgate.
I mean, why not?
It turns off any Unearth stuff. I guess the reason not to is it tells Dodger exactly what you have one unknown still in hand.
Yeah.
I guess. I
It's probably worth casting.
Yeah,
You can
runs
just,
also.
do it. It insulates you versus some Unearth bullshit.
And I think you kind of need that scry.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think you probably just go.
Please cast Stolen Secrets.
Yeah, Stolen
Sorcery.
Yeah, Stolen Secrets, grab Resigned to Madness, and then next turn you can hit Laugh with Ruinous Proselyte. Oh, you can't hit it right there unless you top deck a land, but you can run out the Ruinous.
Against Dodger, he'll top deck the land.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and now it's Dodgers 1-1 against the world.
I mean, rapidly growing 1/1.
Yeah. No, it's just a 2-mana 1/1, no text.
Okay, so Splashcat eats it. Hugo grows. Oh, yeah. Mana kind of lines up awkwardly here. If Dodger had one more mana, there's a lot he could do, but no.
I mean, you get to hold up the Coldgrave. I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's not
I
awful.
might just rack the Coldgrave, honestly. Like, you can't respond to your opponent playing a land or to the mana abilities, so.
Yeah, but right now, Leyline Alignment Field has. I guess it's up to being +1 mana again. So, yeah, no, it's pretty reasonable to crack it now. Dodger agrees.
Okay, yeah. But I mean, like, what is your opponent gonna top deck for? Oh, I guess top deck Resigned to Madness does it. That's true.
Yep. I mean, LAF was effectively a soul land, so would have had access to 6 mana. So could have also like top deck. I don't know.
Like Conflicts
probably-
Ravager into, I don't know. Actually, you can't get 2 cards that way. No. Actually, no. You could do Conflicts Ravager into you could do Conflicts Ravager, cycle it into 2. No, could you do that into Turi? No, never mind. No, yeah, no.
Could have Talia, which would have sucked versus Coldgrave. It's fine. Like it really doesn't matter.
Try and a third LA and another Soulgate. Oh, I guess you. I mean,
This is 2 scries. This is fine.
I mean, yeah, but it's not card advantage is the issue.
It definitely isn't.
Like your best thing here is land into Resigned to Madness, and even that isn't okay. Just gonna immediately snap run out the Bloodjade Prophet, and I think in this matchup you can just keep all 3.
And just immediately win the...
That's true.
He's going to be an option.
For now, though, it's just gonna be Hugo casually slamming in for another 2.
Yeah, Dodger spends literally no time thinking about whether or not to take all 3 from the Bloodjade Prophet.
Yeah, okay, and it's gonna
irrelevant.
Distant Thunder, discard.
Necromancer, I like that line. We're no longer at the stage of the game where Ambitious Necromancer is really going to pay dividends, especially with no other discard spells in hand.
Yeah, since you're casting your Distant Thunder there.
Yeah.
So Dodger like cleanly kills in 2 turns.
Yeah.
Maybe even next turn. Wait. Actually, Dodger kills next turn if he top decks a burn spell. So Dodger's gonna kill next turn from what we know of his luck.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
Dodger draws Distant Thunder 100% of the time here.
Draws the sideboarded out Fiery Tempers.
Okay, so scry number 1 coming down. And like, yeah, what is... I mean, I think if you see Pithbolt, I think you can also reasonably keep that and then just kill Hugo. No? Okay, yeah.
So
what?
he kept which...
Oh, Conflux Ravager. Okay, that makes sense. You can't LAF though because you don't have the mana right now after cycle. Ah, the classic El Clasico. Okay.
I think you hold on to Conflux Ravager just in case your opponent has more Grave Hate, and on end step, cycle it, then just like hope to get there.
Yeah, very reasonable.
And depending on what you draw, you can scry with Soulgate.
Well, okay, this is more opportunity to get. No wait, Hugo will go up to 5.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Oh my god, you're right. Yeah, because of Gift of the Phoenix. So.
I think you play the Gift of the Phoenix because you can still Performer or Ruinous Proselyte. I guess the safe line is Ruinous Proselyte. Destroy an LAF. It doesn't really matter actually.
The safe line is Proselyte, Destroy an LAF, just because it protects against like a hardcast Turi.
Yeah.
But I like this line.
Yeah, let's go for broke. Let's win.
Swinging for the fences here.
Okay.
I think this line is marginally worse. Okay, so if you're Splashcat, it's going to be really tempting to cycle Conflux Ravager here. I think that's a mistake. Save the mana and Soulgate.
Yeah. Especially if you like draw into something wacky, or like something that you want to keep. Like you like Conflux Ravager in Grave. It's pretty okay there. It's pretty chilling.
No value in this cycle.
The reason you would be the reason you would cycle it is to get further into your deck, but if the card goes to your graveyard, there's no upside. Like it's not like Splashcat has like flashback cards or anything of the like. Every card in their deck is better in their hand. Or sorry, in their grave. Yeah, in their hand.
In their grave. Okay, so...
And we can see the double scry off Soulgate. As Splashcat draws a...
Resigned to Madness.
Cosmic War, like, Resigned to Madness, Marissa the Grave Howl does it as well. So there's
Wait,
like
does she?
three.
She gets
Well,
back.
she brings back the Complex Ravager, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, and then she can block Bloodjade
which
Prophet,
blows up
right?
Hugo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Um,
Splash
which is what
is on
you
bold percent though, so
sick.
okay. Pitbull onto the bottom.
There's a lot of outs to draw into here.
So yeah, we see Pithwild go to the bottom. It's a turn too late, and also
I agree that
Fast
Pitbull doesn't.
Unquenched Greed onto
Yeah.
the bottom. That's not card. That's not card
Unquenched
advantage.
Greed also goes to bottom.
Oh, Moment of Truth.
So actually, tapping Soul Gate here is a option. Technically speaking, this cuts off some number of your outs, but it increases your looks at them. So
Yeah, I think it's worth it.
like it makes you less likely to win if in some
Another
ways.
Pitbull to
Yeah,
the
I would
bottom.
need to sit down and do the math, but also Splashcat already did. Alright,
Yeah.
Pitbull on the bottom.
Okay. I mean, it all comes down to this draw.
You can't afford to activate any more Soul Gates, so
Because
we're
you
just
can't.
fine.
Yeah, you literally can't yet. Oh, Ori Panorama. That's it.
Oh, you hate it.
Yeah, that was just kind of the Dodger had all of the early interaction. Like, I mean, what triple deformed sanity stolen secrets very hard to fight against. And when you have a guaranteed
Double, right?
well, double
Jeez.
yeah, actually yeah. The one of them was discarded to another deformed sanity. But whew. And with that, Dodger takes is this third GP win?
Probably
Sounds
fourth.
right. Maybe four.
He's won half the GPs he's played, and he's top 8 at all of them. He's top 8 at 8 times. I'm pretty sure.
Those are horrifying numbers.
Powerful.
I do think that to some extent the plot armor jokes. It's like, okay, I agree with it. I've gotten killed by Dodger with some extremely bad luck, but also one thing that's just fundamentally true about Magic is that luck accounts for a number of games that grow smaller and smaller the more you play. The fact that Dodger has put up these results time and time again suggests it isn't actually plot armor, and he's actually just better than most of the players here. And I think most of the people making plot armor jokes know that, but I do think it's important to remember that skill is ultimately way more busted.
Yeah,
than
and I
plot
think that
armor.
like lots of like in Magic, like acknowledging that there's variance and like aggressively playing to the odds is and like recognizing when to do that is like that's like a legitimate skill. And I think that Dodger tends to
absolutely.
and Dodger tends to play decks that like go for the quote unquote high roll, but also knows like kind of like when to push, when to pull back, and like that kind of like
Also knows how to build decks to maximize that high roll.
yeah, for sure. And
Yeah,
like
I think if you
and
ask
without
Dodger-
without sacrificing individual card quality, which is an important thing.
I think if you ask Dodger, he would point at this GP as being one of the more lucky GPs that he ran. I know multiple of his games came down to relying on his opponent to brick for multiple turns in a row. But he still built a good deck that had outs that he managed to play to. And yeah, I mean, I only make the plot armor jokes because we both know that he's a very talented player.
I'm definitely someone who I was one of the opponents that had to brick like 4 turns straight or something ridiculous like that in order not just kill Dodger on the spot. But I think rating Dodger's wins off as plot armor does a disservice to him and also to his opponents. So I think while they're fun, it's also important to draw a line somewhere.
And also, like, I would like to give a shout out to Splashcat for making it to the finals because even before this GP, where the Turi LAF thing was big, they were like the first person to really like consistently grind out GPs with the LAF deck. So I just like big props to them. I think this is the last GP where LAF is going to exist in its current form, right?
Period. Since we've decided instead of reworking it, we're just going to ban it.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Partially just to preserve the historical knowledge of it, and to make sure these deck lists don't look whack in the future.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But
this
yeah,
list would look bizarre if it was in its other form.
So yeah, I mean, I think like getting a card banned is definitely like what do you call it? It's an accolade in and of itself. So I think I would like to congratulate Splashcat on that and just like iterating and tinkering with the deck to this point.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a damn good finish.
Mm-hmm. I mean, second place at the biggest GP ever, nothing to scoff at. So yeah, Do you think we want to get either of them into the channel for a
Yeah,
posting
sounds good.
interview?
Let's switch to large table one.
Sure thing.
Okie dokie. Okay, folks, give me a second while I switch over in Discord. So let's just. Okay. Oh, I heard a thing. I don't know what happened. I think someone followed or subscribed to me. So,
Nice.
Hello,
mhm.
can you hear me?
Hello,
I
Dodger.
can't hear you.
You can't hear me? That's probably a good thing, TBH.
Mm.
I believe you did get a subscriber at the start of the stream. Someone subscribed via Prime. I think it was Gallo, but I'm not sure.
Oh, thank you, Gallo. Sorry for the lack of recognition at the time, but yeah,
I can try to talk louder, if possible.
no, I think you're good.
Okay.
I think I've, in a last ditch measure, I kind of just turned up everything. So,
Yeah. Um, gotta say, I was a bit clenched going into that last match because I think Splashcat had the best build of all the alignment field decks. I think they were also the most competent player of that archetype. Um, so I felt like I would have to really earn my wins, you know. And I thought I had that game one in the bag, but the draws lined up well for them, so I was like kind of sweating. But Coldgrave turns out it's pretty good. Gonna miss Coldgrave.
yeah, and like the ability to like you did in game 3, just be like, well, I only have interaction here, but I can guarantee myself a thread with Hugo.
Yeah, that was huge. Game three, like I saw the hand, and I was like, I would love to keep this, but it's 4 lands, no threats. And then I was like, oh yeah, I just grab my Hugo, and it's all good. Like I can just
Yeah,
disrupt them, drop Hugo on turn two, and then the fact that they mulled, I think it was to 5, made it even
yep.
easier. Yeah. Like if you mull to 5 and you get hit by 2 hand attack spells, you usually lose the game. So
Yeah, I think in that GP they had, or like in game 1 and game 3, they had two. I think they had two one landers where the only land was like leyline alignment field, and it was like, ugh. And,
yeah,
and I think both times they had like doubled Resigned to Madness or something, and it's just like, oh, this would be super spicy if you ever draw that second land to actually cycle your Conflicts Ravager, but
hmm
is it worth?
I think in general, you can mulligan pretty aggressively with that deck because it's really just trying to put together a couple combinations of cards.
See, that's what I
Uh,
said.
yeah, I mean, I
I
think
mean,
I don't think
I don't
mulligan
think in
is
this
wrong.
matchup that's. I don't think in this matchup you want to mulligan aggressively though, because in general, like one of the main adages is you don't mulligan against Thoughtseize decks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like because it's so easy to take a hand that is a good 5 into becoming a mediocre 4, and not risking that and just keeping a mediocre 7 that becomes a mediocre 6 is just sometimes the right line. But it's impossible to know without knowing your opponent's hand. So
yeah. Maybe for game one, it's better to mulligan aggressively, but then once I bring in the stolen secrets, then
oh yeah, that
you
makes a lot
play
of
a
sense.
little more conservatively.
Yeah, or like
Yeah.
you just have to play around Dodger always having Deform Sanity in the opener. You know, just the actual first mate for this deck was Deform Sanity.
I mean, that definitely goes in line with the matches I've played against Dodger this matchup or this GP.
Yeah, Deform Sanity is by far the most important card in the deck, I think. The interaction with Ambitious Necromancer is so dirty, especially if you can guarantee that you can play Necromancer on turn one without it facing a removal spell.
Mm-hmm.
And even in matches where that's not the case, you can just wait until turn two and be like, okay, Necromancer, Deform Sanity, you're getting Thought Seized and I'm getting an Unearth.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, and even if they killed a turn one Necromancer, it's like, well, okay, that's still a removal spell that would have gone to one of my actual factual threats. So thanks.
Yeah. It's really interesting because when I first built this deck, I goldfished it like a million times and tuned it quite a bit. And when I ran it in League, I was like, okay, there are some problems here, so I tweaked some things. And I was like, I felt pretty confident. And then my first couple matches, including when I was testing for the Teamer Tempo deck that with Pipsqueak, I felt like, oh, this deck kind of folds over to well-placed interaction. And I was worried that I'd focused so much on the goldfish that I made a deck that couldn't actually hold up in real games of Magic. But I felt like I actually mastered the deck a lot over the course of the tournament, and I found a better understanding of what the deck's optimal lines are and how to play it. And I think that now I feel like the deck can take almost anything as long as you're playing it well and mulliganing appropriately.
So does that mean you're going to play it again next month?
Hell no.
Just not the Dodger style.
I'll unearth some random shit like Lone Survivor next month. How about that?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah.
That sounds like a
Yeah,
plan.
yeah, that sounds like definitely not anti-synergy. Works out.
I never got to turn one with a Torment Land. Sag.
You.
Happy.
Torment Lands and Oil Driller in the format at the same time would have been so gross.
Oh, they were. I won a GP with that.
Man, that was when I was not paying attention. Wow.
That was in fact so gross. We agree.
Yeah, it was pretty good. As for champions, I don't know. Oil Driller is my darling child. I'm probably gonna look for a cool Oil Driller art. That was probably the best Oil Driller game I played in all GP was in game 2, where I was able to just be like, okay, here I can just loot my Deformed Sanity over and over again.
That was pretty nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually the thing with Oil Driller is, well, to keep getting recurring value, you have to put other cards in your grave. But with the interaction of Ambitious Necro plus Deformed Sanity, that just wasn't the case.
Yeah, and that's actually not a start that happens very often because you kind of need the perfect 7. And if you're setting it up with stuff like Gift of the Phoenix to dig into it, then it's like, okay, well, your yard's a little more muddled, and maybe you crack the fetch, and it's not so cut and dry. But like, in that case, I actually was able to use Oil Driller to recur my fetch, which is pretty fun too.
And then your Plot Armor saved you from Mirror Gate.
Yeah.
Oh my god, when you played the Mirror Gate, well, now this is the exact interaction that I've been complaining about forever, and I totally knew it was in your hand, and I just straight up played into it.
Yeah, I was quite surprised we didn't crack the fetch right away.
I know, yeah. Well, that was just a straight up troll. Like I just straight up hit that. But then my deck's like, nah, I got you. Here's the black-red duel. Oh man, I actually don't think I needed red mana to win that game, but it did allow me to close out the game 1 turn earlier.
Yeah, with the Distant Thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we talked a lot about Dodgers' run so far, but now that you've joined us in the voice called Splashcat, talk to us about your experience this tournament.
Alright, so I guess it starts with my experience a few tournaments ago when I first built the Leyline Alignment Field deck, and took that to the semifinals before getting stomped by Advanced Tempo because I hate this deck does not like decks that have both early pressure and counter spells.
Can confirm.
Like control you can deal with because eventually you will just have enough mana to actually hardcast your threats. You have a lot of answer this or lose cards, often which require multiple answers, like Valor or Make a Token. Tempo, it's rough. But at any rate, so after that, I got busy and stopped paying so much attention to MSEM for a while. And then basically came back when Pip pinged me to ask me, because she said she was making an updated version of my deck for the Elmar season and asked me why I used Answer Midnight's Call over Imagination Unleashed. And that's when I learned that Imagination Unleashed existed.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
And
being
so I was like,
capped
okay,
off of Leyline is a big deal, actually.
yeah, it's huge. It's the difference between going off turn 3 and going off turn 4. And sometimes between going off turn 3 and not going off until you draw another blue source.
Yeah. I will say, like, I think it was cool that the alignment deck existed, but I'm also kind of glad it's gone because that was one of the more nerve-wracking matches I've had to play, where it's like, okay, you decimated their entire hand, but they could also just top deck this card and you're just dead.
The other thing is this deck makes the deck I took to the semifinals look like a limited deck. Because the other thing, besides Imagination Unleashed and how my team was work with the mana base, even if I kind of just swapped all the check duels out for pain duels. Besides, like, the general tune-ups to its pre-existing game plan of just kicking out big things, it now has a combo kill. Like, before, its fastest win condition was Velier, right? When I last played this deck, there wasn't even Chicky Champion. So the deck put out insane stuff fast, but it didn't kill fast. In fact, I think in my semifinals match with Ruben, or maybe it was a different matchup, but I think it was the semifinals match where I locked him out of having any mana generation at all with turn 3 Cosmic War reanimate Root Warper into Mirror Gate. Actually, it was kind of whack. And then like I played 2 Valiers over the course of the game, and thanks to the whatever it is, the Force Spike after Exile thing. Exile like a creature that's a controller place. Like,
everyone's favorite
yeah.
card.
Basically, I remember games where I landed my early Valier, and then I kept landing threats, and it just didn't quite close out the game, right? My opponent stabilized. This deck does not give you a chance to stabilize, right? You either have instant speed interaction that exiles, or you're dead on the spot. And if you
instant speed interaction that exiles doesn't even work for the first part with Resigned to Madness. So like, if you know that they have it, you can kind of just bait instant speed interaction and just be like, okay, I don't even have to go for the combo if that's your interaction.
Yeah. I was saying to disrupt the combo, like, well, here's the thing. What happens is I go for the combo, and if they have the interaction, well, if they don't have the interaction, they lose. If they do have the interaction, I'm like, okay, instead of reanimating Marissa on the next loop, I reanimate Turi and I make a Kraken. Right. If the interaction doesn't exile, it's I reanimate Turi, who reanimates Corvid. But how much more interaction do you have? I'm gonna do this again next turn.
Yeah, the thing is, even if you stop the combo, it's like, okay, but they have a Turi in play.
Yeah, exactly. Your fail case is like 2 Palaka worms stickled together. By the way, I never hit my bucket list of hard casting a Chiku Champion, but I did check off an item I did check off an item I didn't know was on my bucket list. I used Turi's -X to search a Chiku Champion.
Oh, that's nice.
That's pretty funny.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think.
Huge props to El Makino for making the combo kill package. The deck Marisa is a cheat engine and a combo piece and resiliency and a value backup plan all at once.
Yeah, worth noting that a lot of these cards are being tweaked or changed going into
yeah. Marisa. Yeah, Marisa absolutely. Like, I don't know if Leyline Alignment Field will be broken after Marisa, and I understand why it's being banned because it would still be good, but Marisa Marisa is a broken card in her current incarnation, and she totally needs that nerf.
The main issue with Leyline Alignment Field fundamentally is that my vision of the card and the vision of the format don't neatly coexist. So hit 5 mana on 3 off of 1 card is something that we just can't balance around. So even if this deck
down to being like, oh, it would only produce Valier on 3. That's just not something that
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
capable of balancing.
Yeah, and like
yeah.
I feel like
I
we
guess
haven't
there's
even
the
gotten
player
to
one.
Resign to Madness, which is the one card combo that also you can't interact with once it's milled over everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Resign to Madness was just waiting for it to be broken.
Well, that card's also getting changed.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I know.
no, Resign was kind of already broken. It just wasn't like
Yeah.
it just wasn't it just wasn't hyper win. It just wasn't hyper win on the spot broken.
Resign to Madness already won the game on the spot. It just only won the game on the spot if you were either devoting large amounts of deck space to the token copies of that cast a spell creature, or if you were devoting a lot, or if you were playing Dream Sight, Cursed by Unborn Fates. And both of those had like heavy deck building restrictions, right? But now with Marisa, basically, Resign to Madness could hit anything. There was no restriction. It just changed into whatever combo you're already doing. So yeah.
Yeah,
These
so
things-
I think the change where it no longer mills you, and it becomes a when trigger means that your opponent can stop it.
I didn't even notice the
make
when
that
trigger
card-
part. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, should help make that card less annoying to deal with.
Yeah, those are both excellent changes. Yeah, again, thanks to Amakino for setting up the combo package. But this deck it's playing 8 copies of one card win the game. Resign and Turi both win the game on the spot, assuming you don't whiff with Resign like I did versus Augur in the second round.
I'd also be
You hate to
curious.
hear it.
I'd be curious to actually see the numbers on how likely it is to whiff, because Resigned to Madness has now whiffed against me more times than it has hit, which is impressive. And it does then make me question, like, okay, so you mill half your library and you need to hit both Marissa and Turi, and you can't hit both Corvid Heretics. And I'm actually not sure the odds are that great.
I was
based
actually
on-
only
Splashcat's only running one heretic, so
yeah.
becomes
I didn't realize
for
the
a
second
while.
heretic. I didn't realize the second heretic attack until after. I think
Yeah,
only
so
submitted
there's
2.
even more of a chance of something going
Yeah.
kind of shitways.
My league
Yeah, so,
version of the
like,
deck has a heretic instead of the Marisa. I mean,
Like,
instead
I
of the
would concede
Natalia.
on the spot to Turi because, like, I trust my opponent knows how to play it out. But I wouldn't concede on the spot to Resign to Madness, which is something, but it's still
Yeah.
not like the kind of thing that we want.
I'd say Resign. I wouldn't consider Resign hitting both Marissa and Turi. That's not the only. I generally consider a Resign into like Marissa plus Valier or Resign to Chiku Champion to be a hit as well. It's
Yeah,
not win on the spot, but it's pretty brutal.
Right, yeah, no, but that's
Yeah,
the thing.
versus
It's a hit,
Augur.
but it's not a win the game.
I
the
had
Augur
one match.
thing was pretty hilarious circumstance.
Yeah, versus Augur, I flipped half my deck and hit 0 Planeswalkers. I went for Chiku Champion again, and it still didn't work. It still wasn't enough because stupid Mark Bruiser. By the way, if anybody thinks
Bruiser's amazing.
Anybody thinks my deck is cool at all, they need to watch the one league replay I posted. That is possibly the greatest turn of Magic I have ever played.
Is that the 4 Imagination Unleashed in the same turn?
Yes, and also Pit Belt as a ritual. You see, my opponent was playing Mabel Fardance. I think the one who untaps your lands.
Mabel Fart Answer, yeah.
Yeah, I reanimated her with Marisa. And
Nice.
then I untap my Leyline alignment fields. And then I tapped them all for mana. And then I pit wilted Mabel. And then I played Imagination Unleashed into Marissa and reanimated her again. I needed more mana because I needed to cast and then minus X to find nothing a Turi so that I wouldn't deck myself while comboing off.
I hope we can get to do commentary on that because that sounds like an insane game.
Replay is in the league channel.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Is there anything else you guys wanted to ask me?
I did assert that you would agree that this was one of your more lucky GP wins. As we were talking about the Dodger plot armor, I wanted to see if you agreed with that take.
Of my GP wins?
Not specifically this match, but of the GP wins this tournament as a whole.
Let's see, Naya Ramp, Black Widow Unearth, Waterfall. Yeah. I think like I was partially memeing it up when I was saying like, I'm only winning because of plot armor, because I am proud of how I played this GP. And I think that I think I brought a strong deck that has a lot of skill expression available, and that I learned a lot of of how to do that over the course of the tournament. But yeah, there were also plenty of games, like a higher than normal number of games, where it's like, if my opponent draws their out, then I lose, and they continually didn't draw their out, perhaps multiple turns in a row sometimes. So yeah, I think compared to Wonderfall, Naya Ramp, and in the Black White Unearth deck, this GP is definitely the one where it's like, I won less because of how good my deck was, if that makes
Right.
sense.
And I
So
mean,
does
when you
does
play a
that
deck with so many discard spells, that's just bound to happen, right? You're bound to put yourself in situations where, if your opponent top decks, then you're dead. But
Yeah, it's a very risky kind of deck because it's all in, and the most important decisions you make are on turn 1. And
right,
actually, the most important decision you make is probably when mulliganing, because you have to set up your hand to
Yeah.
do its thing. And then once you've chosen a lane, the bus kind of drives itself. So after that, there's not as many decisions to make. But I guarantee if a random person picks up this deck, there's like a 90% chance they choose the wrong thing to do on turn 1.
And then
Yeah,
they just die repeatedly.
it looks like
Yeah.
a very complex deck with a lot of, even if you, as you said, it sort of drives itself. There's a lot of potential lines to consider before you commit.
Yeah. And there are
Yeah.
some games, like for instance, where I was playing against Pipsqueak, where it's correct to not go all in and actually wait a little bit to try to fight through counter magic and stuff like that. So yeah, it's not a jam your head against your opponent's deck and see if you win or not kind of deck by any means.
No, it's you really have to think about exactly what you want to be jamming.
yeah. I actually, it was funny. I had a lot of plays where I was like, keep turn 1 thinking.
Mhm.
Yeah, but okay.
Yep.
Is there anything else you want to ask about?
No, I think that's
No.
about it.
Congrats.
Thank you.
I'll send you a message
I
about
can
the
say-
podcast.
Oh,
I can-
okay.
I can relate to you learning how to pilot your deck over the course of the GP. Like
Yeah.
when I first looked at Amakino's list, I was like, "What the heck is this Corvid Heretic doing in here?
Oh
This
my
contribute to-
god.
How does this contribute to the game plan?"
Oh.
Effectively.
That's awkward. Yeah.
But yeah, then I was like, okay, I'm making all these lands faster. Who cares if I pay half my life to my mana base if I win on the spot? And I don't know if it made a difference or not, but I can't think of any games I lost to my mana base.
Fair enough.
I think it's probably correct to do that because you're trying to cast Oracle's Vision and Unquenchable River. So getting a
Yeah,
hand where
well-
2 check lands can be pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Elmi said they made it set up so that every check land came in untapped off basic swamp, but that still is
Yeah,
awkward if you want to cast Unquenched Greed.
That's not a bad choice either. I think it kind of depends on the meta.
Yeah, it's a bit awkward if you want Unquenched Greed. If I was expecting a lot of burn, I would have probably wouldn't have done that. But I don't know. I
Yeah.
somehow beat burn. When
It's
I
not
went
hard
into
to beat burn with that deck, to be honest.
I goldfished the match a bunch and had like a 33% win rate.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I expect it to be bad for you, but I don't think you
Yeah.
beating burn is like some big revelation.
Well,
Yeah.
basically, it's like I thought I was like, oh man, burn, I'm probably gonna lose. And then I played and then I won in 2. And then I went up against Augur and I thought, okay, it's creature aggro. I think I've got this. And then I lost.
Magic's weird like that.
Yep. I mean, the first match I lost to hilariously bad RNG, but the second match I just lost to Fog Stewer doing what Fog Stewer does. Augur's deck working as intended. It was 1 mana short of rot.
Oh, you hate to see it.
But yeah, this deck, like Leyline Alignment Field, like it's a combo deck. Its goal is to do the one thing that wins you the game mostly. But it's got a lot of lines, and I think I've played more in Leyline Alignment Field than anything else in MSEM put together. It was basically my second deck after that first green blue vamp list way back when Scion of Torrents could tuck lands.
Ugh.
Good times.
And I just kept playing it, and I just keep finding new lines. And like, okay, maybe if I do this, I can go off. there's so many moving parts. Like, you've got to think about your hand, your deck, your graveyard, your mana. There's a lot of setting up. It's a super fun deck to play.
So one question I am vaguely curious about is, do you have any idea what you want to play for the next GP?
That's a good question.
Is that at me or just Splashcat?
Splashcat,
Fair.
given that your deck is going to be legal next GP and you've already said you're not playing it, so
Yeah.
I considered trying to build a World Heart Avatar deck, just don't let the 5-color nonsense dream die, but I'm not really sure.
it's fair.
If you figure out a good list for that, let me know, because I've been trying and failing over and over.
Well, I will have to look at what you did so I can make sure that I'm not doing that.
What I did was O2 a lot of leagues.
I
Hey, but
see.
you won that one game against me, so that deck's OP.
That is true.
Yeah, like there's a lot of powerful stuff to do off World Heart Elemental, but you're still not going to really be doing it before turn 5.
Yeah.
And, you know, turn 5 2-mana Velier, way less cool than turn 3 4-mana Velier.
That's just math.
I mean, you can still do turn 3 4-mana Velier, to be fair, if you have like.
Yeah, you can. I mean,
You
just
could
a
just
mana
play
dork will do that.
Like,
Yeah.
you could just play a more straightforward green-blue
No.
show and tell deck if that's what you want to play.
Imagine spending cards to ramp this post made by not Leyline Alignment Field gang.
You
Imagine your ramp actually being card decimated.
imagine having to actually draw threats with your ramp. This post made by Sabne's Autumn.
Well, see, that would have been a perfect comeback by opponent because I think I'm just quoting past me because that insane turn I talked about was in fact against Temur ramp, and the reason I needed to combo kill that turn was because my opponent had a fifth Sabne and a Dragonite and some other big threat. I was going to kill me so hard next turn they could have made the board like 30-30.
Oh lord.
But yeah.
Sabne's Autumn is good.
I might try World Heart Avatar, but I don't think so. I'll really have to look around to see what decks in the format that aren't Leyline Alignment Field and Dodger exist.
Uh-huh.
Like my picture of this meta has basically been Dodger plays Unearth and it works because it's Dodger playing Unearth. Leyline Alignment Field is bonkers, and Pip is playing tempo decks that I just pray I don't get matched up against.
I'm probably not going to be playing an Unearth deck, but you never know.
Off-brand.
Maybe I'll start.
No. Dodger's gonna go back to a Wanderfall deck. He's gonna find a way to make it work.
This is the last month to do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch to Unearth, and I'm gonna come back and beat Dodger next TP with his own Unearth deck. It's gonna be a redemption arc.
Oh my god.
Oh shit! That's like it's like a big villain plot twist.
Yeah, it's like very very wrestling of you. But yeah, is there anything else before we wrap up the stream?
I just want to say thanks to everyone for watching. I want to give a big shout out to Pipsqueak for hosting the tournament because this was the biggest MSEM GP ever, and I think she deserves a lot of credit for that.
Agreed.
And also thanks to everyone for playing, and hopefully we see you next GP as well.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say unless there's questions still. And yeah, thank you to Pip for hosting the tournament. Thank you to Pip and Al Makino for making this deck what it is. And yeah, Dodger, you designed Turi, right?
I sure did.
Thank you. Thank you, Dodger.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're welcome, I guess.
Yeah, that deck is Dodger's fault entirely.
Yep, only mine.
Truly. No one else designed cards that broke that deck.
Dodger, Egg, Pipsqueak, all acting as though they're not culpable for Leyline Alignment Field deck.
I think we should at least blame.
Also Fluffy. Sorry, forgot to mention.
No.
Thanks to Mako, because you could have Valier as a plan B in this deck. I never would have built this deck if I didn't. My whole motivation for breaking Leyline Alignment Field was so that I could cast Valier.
This
yeah,
is.
that was clearly Corvin's fault.
I was going to say, this is clearly Ren's fault. Corvid Heretic is really the card we should have banned here. All right.
True.
Talk to y'all later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So thanks to everyone for watching. And until next month, this is coverage for Grand Prix Rome ending now. See you next month.